Assalamu alaikum guys. In this video we will learn how can we improve the performance or not executing unnecessary queries by using root constraints in Laravel. Here as we can see I have created this show method and it takes the ID parameter and user find or fail to get a user or throw an error if this user doesn't exist. Also can use user like this, but I just want to show you something. What do I mean by root constraint? If you don't know, I mean using where for roots here. For example, I want the ID to be where number. So we can use where number for field ID, for ID here. And inside our controller also, I refer to this ID. Now let's die and dump ID. Firstly, let's remove this where currently and let's open our browser. I will say ID1 and die and dump the ID. If I use any random number or random characters, it will access also to the controller. So if you noticed, IDs in our database always use integers, at least for users table. So it's unnecessary query to enter here. So I want to add a constraint here to say the ID parameter in the URL must be integer, right, or number, as we can see here. Now let's try again, and we must not see DD, it must throw 404 directly. So if I try with string, it throws 404. If I try with number, it works correctly, right? So here, instead of entering the controller every time, I added some constraints here for numbers only can go into the controller. And we saved our database from unnecessary queries that can be done. Now, let's try it with user here, and I will return user directly. Also, I will change user here, and also I want to make it user here. Now let's refresh. It failed because there is no user with 1, 2, 3. I have only 10 users in my database. And if I try with string, and this time it fails because the user parameter here is not a number. If you want to execute more logic for this binding roots, we can use resolve root binding in our model here. So if I say dd value, it will not access here because my parameter is not a number. Now try with a number, it accessed now. We can say also where ID equal to the value, or according to the field we can customize it. But in case of we use the user here, it means ID directly. If we die and dump the field refresh, it returns null, which means it's for ID. But if we use, for example, name, like what we do for slugs, let's use name, for example, refresh. Now it returns name. Also, there is a lot of methods here that we can use to constrain our root parameters, like maybe where in, where alphanumeric, where number, where UUID, and so on. So here's quickly our tip of today. If you found it useful, support me by clicking on like, share, and subscribe. See you next video.